We are Movie Menu Reviews, Earth's Mightiest podcast. On today's menu, we'll be doing a spoiler-free review of Avengers: Infinity War, followed by a spoilerific review. Welcome, ladies and gents. I'm Dan the Man Muñoz, host of Movie Menu Reviews, your weekly movie news and reviews podcast. Live on Facebook with episode 184.
There you go.
Yes.
You can
We're
tell
back.
we've taken a vacation.
Yes, we are back. We are back. We are back.
Are we back?
We're back.
I think
I don't know if we are.
Well, mentally, I don't know if we're back, but physically, we're back.
Yeah, there you go.
But someone who is in the astral plane at the moment is my co-host and senior panelist, Z! Dr. Z!
Dr. Z.
Dr. Stevens.
Oh, we're using our made-up name.
Also here with his made-up name is Mike Stan!
Mike Stan!
I'm not even kidding.
That's not even
that's
well,
his made-up
technically,
name.
we all have made up.
I don't.
You don't.
Yeah,
Well, that's not
yeah.
true. You call yourself the man, so that is definitely a
No.
nickname.
No, I'm a man and you're a dude. That's all I'm saying.
That's good.
Yeah, well done.
So we are back for our season 14, or as we like to call it, our Fantastic 14 season.
Hopefully better than the Fantastic Four films.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
I mean, can we get any worse?
I
don't know. Let's not try.
No.
The
that's
bar
not-
is set kind of low.
It
So I
is.
think we'll be all right.
But so is our show, so
Yay.
welcome. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, thank you so much. Or if you're listening to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or however you listen to your podcast, thank you so much for listening as well. We have a huge review with Avengers: Infinity War that just came out this past weekend.
Yes.
Woo! So let's go ahead and get into it. So the movie we're reviewing is Avengers: Infinity War. It is directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. Here's the plot. The Avengers and their allies must be willing to sacrifice all in an attempt to defeat the powerful Thanos before his blitz of devastation and ruin puts an end to the universe. It stars a lot of actors. Josh Brolin, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Don Cheadle, Benedict Cumberbatch, Tom Holland, Chadwick Boseman, Zoe Saldana, Karen Gillan, Tom Hiddleston, Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Idris Elba, Danai Gurira, Peter Dinklage, Benedict Wong, Palm,
Nailed it. Well done.
Palm Kitieff, for sure, who plays Mantis.
Yeah, she does.
Dave Bautista, with the voices of Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel. This is a huge cast.
I think
Chris
you missed
Pratt.
one. Yeah, I think you
Oh,
missed
and Chris Pratt. That's right.
one of the.
Why is he all the way down
criti-
there?
That's what I'm saying.
So, all right, guys. So, depending on your spoiler-free review, we shall decide this movie's worth a dine-in, watch it in theaters, take out, wait, and watch it at home, or leftovers, toss this film in the trash. We have a couple already comments. We have Nat, the nerd girl, who she says, "Hi, goons," and Heather says, "Huge." Oh, hey guys.
She said huge. Hey guys.
Oh, she said, "Hey guys," and then huge. So
Oh,
I don't
that's-
know what that means, but sure.
I'm gonna go with.
Oh, it's a
hugs.
huge cast. I think it's what she's assuming.
Oh, or
She said.
it could be mean hugs.
Hugs?
Oh, it could be hugs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sure, we'll go with hugs.
we'll go with
yeah,
hugs.
well, yeah.
All right, so
Huge
this is the
hugs.
start of a new season.
Huge
So
hugs.
all the points that were from last season have been wiped away. So we'll go
okay.
ahead and start a new.
Just like
Shut up.
this.
So we're gonna go ahead and collectively decide if this movie's worth a dine-in, like I said, or takeout, or leftovers. So whoever earns the most points at the end is whoever wins this episode gets a point. Whoever has the most episodes at the end of the season, we're gonna have a segment of their choosing. I think Mike
won
I
last
did.
season.
So Mike, you have to have a segment by the end of the season.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
That's your homework.
Good luck.
So good
Oh,
luck.
we got it set.
You have it set?
Yeah.
we decided last season. I
Yeah,
guess?
yeah. We
I-
decided
We're
last
gonna watch
season.
each other's horrible movies.
Oh, damn! I
Yeah.
forgot I agreed to
Can
that.
we just pretend that was your idea?
I know.
technically.
I
It
know.
was,
I
it
know.
was.
All right. Fine.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead. Oh, so Heather said it was a huge cast. Michael Hill says takeout. Natalie
Interesting.
says dine in. So let's go ahead and let's decide.
Let's
Z,
rate this
what do
film.
you rate this from?
Well, it comes with like disappointment. that I have to say that this movie is worth a dine-in. It is by far the most ambitious Marvel film I have ever seen.
It's actually one of the most ambitious films, period.
It's true. However, like in the Marvel, pantheon of like all the films, clearly this is a Russo film. Clearly it is it's actually like, it's funny because this is the third part in the franchise of the Avengers sequels. However, it feels more like the middle film in like, say for example, like an Empire Strikes Back style film.
Yeah. That's
So
a good point.
with that being said, holy shit, well done, guys, well done.
Mike?
Yeah, dine in. Yeah, I agree with Z. It's exactly like Empire Strikes Back or Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. It ends
Right.
on a very dark note.
Yes.
So
I agree. This is dine-in as
Yeah.
well. This movie is the Empire Strikes Back of the MCU.
Yeah.
yes.
In the best possible way.
Yeah.
And my next question is, how many times have you guys seen it in theaters?
Right. So the answer to that is, for us norms.
No,
probably-
don't say norms, because you have a tendency of watching movies
I do.
multiple times.
I
as
do.
well,
I did
so.
not get a chance to watch it multiples. I was actually going to go watch it several times, but I didn't get a chance to. I just watched it once, so that's my answer.
Well, before you finish that, Nat mentioned that she's sad she can't be there. You know, we are sad that you're not here too, but stay tuned, because Nat will be having her own commentary for the review of Avengers Infinity War. So stay tuned for that.
All right. So, Mike, how many times?
I've only seen this once.
When did you watch it again?
Right before we podcast.
Thank you.
Good
Mike.
job,
I
Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
rushed. I rushed. on
No, no,
one.
no.
Wait
fantastic.
to commit.
Wait.
You still saw it, so
Yeah.
that's good.
Here we
did.
go. Dan.
No, I asked you. You didn't answer.
I did. I said once, and I
didn't hear you say once.
Well, that's 'cause
I
you were-
interrupted you.
You were listening to yourself the entire time.
Now it's mine, and now it's our guesses of how many
Oh,
times
yeah,
you've
okay.
seen.
How many times have
I
seen it?
went with 6 times, but that's not realistic.
Actually,
I went with 4. So
You're both wrong.
It's probably like 3 times.
It's 3 times.
yeah. That's usually my.
But in
yeah,
my
go-to
defense,
number.
I saw it in 3 different types of formats.
Of course, you did.
Interesting.
So opening night, I saw it in IMAX 3D at City Walk.
I heard it wasn't as good.
No, it was amazing.
Oh,
in-
was it?
in
Okay.
IMAX. The movie is filmed 100% IMAX. It's
Well,
not
sure,
one
but what about the
scene-
3D?
No, it's filmed for 3D.
Okay, I wasn't wondering. Okay,
So if you didn't see IMAX 3D, then that's unfortunate for you guys.
that's not true. I
no,
loved it the way I
because
saw
the second time I saw it in 2D,
it. Okay,
and I enjoyed it more with 3D IMAX.
I just want to see
And
the
then I
paychecks
saw
you
it
get. Yeah.
in 4D.
you saw it in 4D.
Yeah.
All right. How many checks do you get from like the theaters for advertising for them?
I didn't advertise for any theater, so that's a 0. But thank you for trying next time.
See, this is why we're poor. All right. So with that being said, what about this film?
Oh, well, let's go. Let's first before we talk about
Yeah.
what's about this film. So we're gonna break up this short. We're gonna make this spoiler-free
Okay.
short review because there's a lot to talk about. So we're gonna go ahead and keep this one short, and then we're gonna talk more in spoilers.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to talk about with you guys is what worked. What stood out to you without giving anything away? What did you guys enjoy? If you guys need something, I could go first.
You know what? Go right ahead, Dan.
So one of the things I really enjoyed about this film was the relationships that were built. The relationships that have been there for the past films that we've seen grow within the culmination of 10 years, and also the new relationships that were built just within this film, that we see people who are meeting for the first time, and how just it works really well, and how they use that to really tug at the heartstrings.
Yeah.
Because this movie is a very. I mean, I tried to prepare myself for this movie. I went in like thinking I knew kind of what was going on. I didn't, and usually I'm right about things, and
He's
I was
never
not.
right about
no,
these
I
things.
am usually right, and I was not mentally or emotionally ready for this film.
Yeah.
And they did such a great thing. Heather 4D was amazing. I highly recommend it.
Okay, so going on this idea of relationships, and I think for you, I agree with that. The foundation was, and I think for all nerds watching this film, it was like you get to watch your favorite characters meet in the same way that Ready Player One had a lot of those like different characters from different universes. We all know we're playing in the same sandbox, so it's actually fun watching, say, Iron Man meet. Star-Lord.
Strange.
Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. So it's like it's fun. It's like, again, in the same way that when we were watching
Thor
Ready
and
Player
Guardians of the
One,
Galaxy.
Yeah, we were watching characters that we would imagine would play well together actually play well together.
Or if you grew up like a nerd like me, like who had all the action figures and they're just playing with the action figures and everyone's just
no, exactly. I completely agree with that. So with that being said, the other part that I thought was fantastic was this concept of Thanos's, his plan is to rid 50% of the universe. And I thought that the way that the characters and the relationships played with that was fantastic. This idea of like sacrificing your other half was partly like it was done so well and fleshed out in a way that, as Dan just said, pulled at your heartstrings. Like it really forced you to actually, even if you weren't a fan, to really recognize that the relationships in this film required sacrifice. And I thought that the way that they did that, especially with, I mean, like, you can't really talk about it without spoiling things, but the way that they played at this concept of sacrifice between loved ones was fantastic. And so with that, we see all these amazing characters, and you go in expecting something, like you said, Dan, and then completely being swept away by the emotion that the Russo brothers can bring to the screen. And
it's okay for us to be vague because we could go more into detail when we go into spoilers.
We will, yes.
Spoilerific review.
Yes, absolutely.
Mike, what worked for you?
I really enjoyed the villains in this.
Villains. Yeah.
Both Thanos and Thanos' children. as they call
the Dark
themselves.
Order. Yeah, the Black Order.
The Black Order, yeah.
And throughout the film, you always, there was always a sense of fear that any of our superheroes could die at any moment. Which is
unusual, right? That's a very unusual thing because we're watching a film. Usually,
no, that was your big complaint for the last film.
Yeah,
Black Panther.
We know they're safe.
You felt like nothing was.
You never felt like T'Challa died. Exactly. When T'Challa falls off a cliff, you're just kind of like, yeah, he's gonna come back. The movie's called Black Panther, guys. Come on. Yeah. But in this one, you genuinely didn't, and we were really like, is there somebody who's safe in this film?
Yes.
And I really was like, I don't know, because they keep talking about like how they might not renew contracts, and I was like, I think they might just actually be willing to sacrifice anybody in the way that when we watch Game of Thrones, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Speaking of which, giant Peter Dinklage.
Okay, so
is that spoiler?
Let's talk about it because not many people knew what role he was playing, so let's not go into that.
So, but going on about Thanos though, Thanos I think was probably. I think people went in the same way that when people were going to watch The Dark Knight. For me, this was very similar to The Dark Knight experience. People were going to The Dark Knight expecting to see a Joker film, to go watch a Batman film, but instead they got themselves a Two-Face film. This film, I think people were going in expecting it to be an Avengers film, or even at that, like a Black Panther film, especially since it just made a lot of money, and instead they got a Thanos film. But I love that because you understood why he was doing what he was doing, and there was not one point in the movie where I wasn't understanding of his character. And I think that for that reason alone, this is a Josh Brolin film. For me, it wasn't an Iron Man film.
To be fair, while watching it, obviously you root for the heroes, but in this film, you kind of understand where Thanos is coming from.
Yeah,
and you kind of sympathize and empathize with what he's going through and why he wants to accomplish this. It's kind of like a weird emotional thing because
it's in the same way Killmonger.
Because like evil is evil, and good is good, and Thanos is evil, but with reason.
Yeah,
and it's like I'm not going to give it away why, but it's very tug back and forth for at least me.
Yeah, no, and I feel like in the same way that the Killmonger's character was, you understood why he was doing it, and in fact, he was doing the wrong thing, but he was doing it for the right reason. And in this film, you kind of understood why he was doing what he was doing, and with that reason, I was like, I kind of get it, man.
And good for Marvel because they've been, one of the things that they've been doing that a lot of people have been complaining about is their villains, and I feel like the past 4 films they have gotten really strong villains. With Hela and with Vulture, I think they're villains that they have really been building up really well.
Yeah,
and just for this, and then Thanos, it's like every movie they've been progressing getting better and better with their villains as well. And then this movie just screw everyone. The villain is pretty much like
the center of the
film, which is refreshing because everyone always talks about the rogues gallery for like Batman or the villains. I feel like they did a really great job fleshing him out.
Yeah, and I know I kept talking about this about like Victor Von Doom for the Fantastic Four, how they should make a Doom film. Now watching this film, I am more hopeful that they can turn a good villain film and actually do the job right in telling the story from the other perspective.
Well, we'll see how they do with Venom, Sony.
Yeah, no, yeah. So with that being said, the action in this film too was
it's almost nonstop action. It's
yeah.
like it starts off with like action, and then there's like it doesn't. I mean, there's moments of rest, but this movie just gets like it's high octane. Yeah, it's high octane the whole time.
Yeah.
So and some of it's surprising action, like all of a sudden like you see them walking, and all of a sudden they're in a fight.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see that.
Well, and I think what I enjoyed more was the intro of the film. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but like as soon as
they do not waste anything.
They don't.
They go right into it.
They go right into it, and you can tell the stakes are raised as soon as you watch the first opening fights. You're just kind of like, oh shit, they mean business. Like they're not wasting time. They're going to show you exactly how much of a threat Thanos is and how much of a threat the Black Order are, and you really are like, damn. Like you're like, you guys are fucked. And so you really immediately just realize how much of a disadvantage the Avengers really are,
and how fearful you are for them. Like I was legitimately fearful for them.
And it only increases as the film goes on.
Yeah.
And it's like, how are they going to get out of that? How are they going to? And it keeps stacking, and it did a great job.
Yeah. And I think just from a writer's perspective, the way that I saw the film was, good writers know how to write themselves out of a hole. In this film, they were writing themselves into a hole repeatedly, and just willing to kind of like try their best to get out of that hole, and not always succeeding. And I thought
we have a couple of comments.
That was a fantastic way of doing it.
Michael and Heather both commented. Michael says, "It saddens me how much you guys are all fanboys." He's like, "Ew," and Heather says, "I don't agree that Thanos' motivation was done well."
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, not a fanboy. You should listen to my other reviews. Doctor Strange was not a great film, in my opinion. Black Panther did have a lot of CGI problems. And actually, we'll talk about CGI in a little bit with this film. But no, I'm not a fanboy. I thought that this film was fantastic. For a 2.5-hour film, they told a lot of story. And just the way that I wanted it to, they didn't focus on the characters that didn't need focusing. That's the important bit.
Agreed, and I don't think it's about fanboy as is good storytelling and the thematics of overall. I think they did what they set out to do in such a way that they haven't done before, and they accomplished it. Yeah. And I think they deserve the credit. Yeah, and I don't think that's become a fanboy. I think that's giving credit where credit's due.
Yeah. So suck it. Wait, do we know him?
Yeah, Michael.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was joking around. All right, yeah.
And, Heather said that she doesn't agree that Thanos' motivation was done well.
We're gonna have to cover that in the spoiler section because we don't want to talk about that at all. But okay, so Dan, you watched it in 3 different formats. I watched it in 1 2D, and I could really tell some really soft CGI in this film. There were moments in which you saw. Oh, I can't say it, but okay, that you saw a certain character and you can really tell that they did like a really bad shading job. That's all I can say, and you can just really tell that it's like, ooh.
Yeah, there's some hit and misses, but I mean, the whole movie it's like 90% CGI. The fact that they're able to get majority of it, I think it's pretty solid.
All right, fair enough. I don't know. I could really just kind of can tell that there were some sequences there. I was like, okay, well that's clearly CGI. Everything else though was fantastic, and less so than when I saw Black Panther and just noticed the CGI just standing out. This film, you can actually tell they put in a lot of work, but there are some moments where you can just go, yeah, that's.
No, but this movie was from like 100% in IMAX in 3D, and there's a lot of moments that utilizes. Did you watch it in 3D, Mike?
I didn't see this one in 3D.
They utilize the 3D a lot, which is pretty cool. Where like, where the Guardians of the Galaxy come in, and I don't want to give too much away, but there's like stuff floating around, like that's pretty cool. Yeah. And other moments, like there's weapons that are like, shown and that are utilized in the 3D too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they use it, and not in a cheesy like. Stabbing, like whoa! No, it's like real subtle, but it's like if you notice it amplifies the film.
Yeah. Okay,
so
that sounds great.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Michael says CGI tears. Well, I mean Thanos was CGI, so I don't know what you expect.
Actually, Man, I'm gonna say go watch it again. I don't want to tell you to go spend more money on this film, but that part I actually bought into 100%. I didn't actually tell that it was some bad CGI there.
I mean, Ready Player One, it was all CGI too, so I don't know.
But you
that was
bought
great as
but
well.
you
So
bought
I
into
don't know,
it though.
Yeah, I don't know what's the problem with CGI.
So, all right. So I feel like this is a film that, without spoiling anything, there is a controversy in this. In the same way that I feel like Star Wars, The Last Jedi, you have a split fan base, right? And you're seeing this right now in the commentaries. You have a split fan base of people who really, really loved it, and I think that's us. And then there's some people who really kind of were disappointed by what they've done. How do you think we should?
I don't think it's 50-50 though. I think the majority enjoyed it.
The majority enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think that I understand why some,
because the audience rating for this film is like through the roof, even more so than the critic rating.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, but I do, when I walked out of it thinking to myself, like, first of all, I walked out of it dazed. So if you watch it, don't drive right afterwards. You're gonna feel dizzy.
Oh, well, before you go into that, let's go ahead and talk real quick about our theater experience. No, I guess.
Or just let me finish talking, man. Come on, dude. Keep interrupting me. But what I'm saying is this, okay? This movie is not your typical Marvel film in that, usually you walk away with a smile on your face. This one you walk with like a frown, and you walk away with it with like a sort of like a scratchy, emoji going on there, where you're just kind of like, did they just, okay. Right? Like, so it's a different experience. I can only imagine, and hopefully there's somebody in the audience right now who took their kids. I can only imagine the kids watching this film going, what did we just watch? Because it really does kind of go in the non-Marvel, more DC direction of filmmaking. So for me, that's what I thought was like, I think it's going to split some audience members because they're the fans going in expecting to see one thing, and you get a completely different thing.
Well, now let's move on to, I'm sure, something that Michael would like. What didn't work in this film?
What didn't work in this film? There are too many characters. I think that they, without saying too much, you do forget certain characters in this film. They introduce them, they reintroduce them because we've seen them in other films, and then they completely forget to readdress them. So I think that's an issue, and I think Marvel is playing around a little bit with that idea because they talk about Hawkman now and the new
Hawkeye.
The Hawkeye in the new trailer, in the new Ant-Man and Wasp trailer. Like, where were they the entire time? So I feel like that is a question to be said, but also the characters they do show, the characters that we love, especially say in Black Panther, they're underutilized. I love Shuri, and I wish I saw Shuri way more in this film. You can definitely see how she will definitely play a part in the Marvel Universe, say for the next few films, but I did kind of miss out on seeing some of the characters that I grew to love from the new films. It really did focus on the core Avengers.
Would you have wanted them to add more? To spend more time with these characters that you felt were underutilized?
I see, that's the thing, right? It's a 2.5 hour film. So my question is there a 4-hour version of this film?
I'm sure there is.
I'm sure there is. Yeah. So,
but even with the length of time as it was, I didn't feel the length.
You didn't. The pacing
was
was pretty good.
Technically, I spent like over 6 hours with this movie, almost 6 hours with this movie.
We saw it 3 times, right?
Yeah.
The movie's 2.5 hours long, so that would
over 6 hours.
Over 6 hours.
And I all 3 times I never felt the time.
You never.
But that's just me.
You never took a bathroom break once?
Because
I know I did.
The second in 2D I did because I had already seen the film, so I didn't feel pressure. But the first time and the 4D I did not.
Well done using the word pressure. But yes, no, I actually did feel the time. I did actually have to take a break in between watching this film because I was like, this is going to go on for a while. But every time I would look down to my watch, I would go like, wow, we've been an hour here. Oh my goodness! Like I would look at my watch very carefully so I didn't disturb anybody. And just noticing how quickly the time was going. So I feel like pacing was a good thing.
It was very evenly paced, and I think all the different subplots that we have several subplots going on, and I think they spaced that out very well. Where we're going into different worlds. You already know Guardians of the Galaxy is one of those worlds, and it just how they're bouncing back and forth. pacing.
Yeah.
Well done.
I would also say that what didn't work was the captions they put on the screen. Where they like
It's very like stylistic.
It was a weird thing because like they didn't use it in the beginning of the film, but then when they go back to space, they use space.
But they use it in place. I mean,
not in the beginning. No, in the beginning of the film, they don't introduce that at all.
It felt like they were setting tone because the very first time they brought that out was the introduction of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly.
And I think it was like
I think it was for every new place.
Well, except they didn't show when they showed they didn't show any captions when the movie begins and you see I forget the Aster.
I think it's because of tone.
Yeah, I think
that it's definitely a tonal shift, but I think that's an issue.
I just watched Civil War over the weekend.
Yes.
And they use it in Civil War.
Well, exactly. In Civil War, they use it every time you switch from place to place. In this one, you really they start with Thor, and then they move back to Earth. But when they move back to Earth, they don't do the caption. They only do it when they shoot back to space. And then that was a little jarring, going like, "Oh, okay, you put a caption here, but you forgot it on the other ones."
I think because they believe the audience is smart enough to know.
I think that's a lazy excuse. I understand what you're saying, but I think that's a lazy excuse. And I listen. I know the Russo brothers. They've done much better, and I know that because they've done that one TV show where they do
Arrested Development.
No, it's the online one where they honest trailers. Like they make films specifically so the honest trailer doesn't give them shit for it. And I felt like that was a bit lazy, and they will give them shit for it.
So I if I'm not mistaken, I think most of it was around the plot line that specifically involved Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, because they mentioned Scotland. They mentioned
you're right.
Wakanda,
Yeah. That's right. You're right.
So that's where I was like, wait, that's a weird.
Because the introduction felt like a joke, like space, because you don't know where they are.
Oh no, that's funny.
It's like they don't know where they are.
But then they use it for every other time they jumped around.
Yeah,
that was the issue.
Okay, I see it. So the inconsistency of
is a very inconsistent thing to use.
Of the captions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other thing was, I mean, it's going to come down to characters and who the focus really is on. Like, right, for me, and I'll watch it again, but I think that this film was a Thanos film. And
I feel like Michael wants to review this film as well.
Is he just posting right now?
He's just posting.
Sure. What did he say?
I'm not sure what he said or what you said, but he's like, "That's true, Z." And then he put, "It's super fast moving," and he put, "Through the lens that all of these places are legitimate and exist in the same universe, it is very lazy."
Yep, I think it was a completely lazy thing to use. So characters again, right? Whose film is this really? For me, it was Thanos. There was a Thor element, and I felt like the biggest
and Iron Man.
And Iron Man, yeah. Captain America was barely in this film. I'm not saying that he was barely in this film, but I'm saying that he really wasn't a central focus. It was mainly a Thor. It should have been built as a Thor versus Thanos film, but they do take their time to flesh out because, again, you have all these characters you want to utilize. And so if you had streamlined it more so that you told the tale of these two powerful creatures, then it would have been way more epic. Now, the one thing that I know about Chris Hemsworth was he's talking about how they reverted back his character to the original Thor 2 character, not the Ragnarok character. And you can really tell. You can really tell there's a difference between the two characters.
I don't know. The humor's still stuck.
Yet it's not as funny as Taika Waititi's writing. And so you can really tell there's like a difference in that. He could still sell it. I mean, Chris Hemsworth is still an amazing actor. He could still sell the jokes, but it's not as whimsical as you saw in Ragnarok. So
it's not as silly because the tone is different.
That's exactly it. Yeah, but
the tone is really different from Ragnarok. It's like night and day.
Yeah. The other thing too is that the film opens up with a missing scene. And I think we can talk about that.
No. I don't think
we don't want to talk about that.
No,
okay.
because it's still an experience to see, but it is missing a scene and it's missing a character as well. If you watch Thor Ragnarok, there's a character missing.
There's several characters missing.
Well, I mean, the other ones are minor, but there's a main character missing from Thor Ragnarok.
The other part about Thor Ragnarok's the shift over is that you really have to wait and watch this film, Avengers: Infinity War, for a while to realize that they don't. Damn it. Nope. Can't talk about it. I had to stop myself there. Anyways, yes. There are missing scenes. I can't say more than that. But you can tell that they
and there's also
omitted something. Yeah.
There's a couple of emissions as well. Like I think I know what you're going to talk about, but like how they found something, and when I don't want to say too much, but there are certain conveniences in this film as well.
Yeah. There's some given. They give it to like they're like, well, it's a given, and I'm like, well, it wasn't, and I was looking forward to that. Especially those omissions, because I really, really wanted to see part of that, and they completely cut it out. And, again, if there's a 4-hour film or 3-hour film, cool, I'll watch it.
I would be down for a 3 to 3.5 hour film. All right. Chris Gooch, he says, Josh Whedon's Avengers was like flipping through a fresh comic book, while this was like feverishly reading through your favorite Marvel event series omnibus. Couldn't agree more.
Okay.
Heather and Michael say, nice hat to Dan. Thank you. It's an Avengers hat.
Yes, thank you.
I got it from the Lord Saviors of Disneyland.
Ka-ching.
So it's an Avengers cap. Thank you so much. All right, so I think we're going to leave it here for our spoiler-free review. And we're going to go ahead and go offline and go into our spoilerific review. So thank you guys so much. Any last minute words or anything? Should we just give all of us a point?
We all get the points, but
we all get a point.
Yeah, but I would say go watch this film, make your own opinion for this film. I think that this is a film that requires your own personal value. If you bring something to this film, you're going to get more out of it. More importantly, don't get spoiled by anybody. I think we've all done a great job of not spoiling this film.
Hopefully.
And man, oh man, it is hard to not talk about the spoilers in this film. So
Michael said we did a good job.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
I agree. Also, this movie I think is really worth watching in theaters, especially since it was filmed in IMAX and with 3D in mind. I think that's probably the best format to watch it in. It's a fun ride. It's an emotional ride. I think the pacing, I think the humor and the drama moments work really well together. There are shocking moments as well that are you wouldn't see in any other Marvel film, and I think they deserve the praise, and I would just think congratulations.
Yeah,
to Marvel.
I think it shows maturity on their part. They've matured, and I'm glad to see something like that coming out of Marvel Studios.
Yeah, Mike, any last words?
I appreciated that even though this film has a lot of humor, that it was also balanced out by a lot of darker tones as well that you don't normally see.
They didn't do the normal Marvel thing, right, where like they diffuse something with humor.
Yeah, exactly.
They let you feel.
Yeah,
that was a good move.
Yeah, and so so you are gonna get both extremes, and I enjoyed that very much.
All right, so thank you so much, guys, for our spoiler-free review for Avengers Infinity War. We're going to go ahead and turn off the camera, but we're going to continue talking about Avengers Infinity War. If you want to hear audio version, it'll be out tomorrow, Tuesday, May 1st, and we will go ahead and post it on our iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Android, Google Play, anywhere you can listen to your
Seashell.
Anywhere you listen to podcasts will be on there. So thank you, guys. Thank you. Goodbye, guys.
Goodbye.
Until next time. Heather says Mike's her favorite.